Hey church family, my name is Annie Neufeld and I am bringing you your Monday morning small groups video. Well, this past weekend was different. We said goodbye to our longtime pastor, Jeff Matisich. He's been with us for 22 years and we adore him and we will miss him greatly. We got to hear some words of encouragement from him, some exhortation, and we got to celebrate what God has done through his family here at Lake for the past 2 decades. Pastor Jeff preached on Mark 10, verses 13 through 16, and I'm just going to read it for us. People were bringing little children to Jesus for him to place his hands on them, but the disciples rebuked them. When Jesus saw this, he was indignant. He said to them, "Let the little children come to me, and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of God belongs to such as these. Truly, I tell you, anyone who will not receive the kingdom of God like a little child will never enter it." And he took the children on his arms, placed his hands on them, and blessed them. Pastor Jeff made 2 observations on this text. First, that proximity to Jesus did not mean understanding. The disciples had been with Jesus, they had been close to Jesus, they had access to his teaching, and yet they missed it. And we do the same. Showing up on Sunday mornings doesn't necessarily mean a life of spiritual depth and growth. We can misunderstand Jesus. We can misinterpret what he has said to us even when we show up. Proximity to Jesus does not necessarily mean faith and understanding. Second, faithfulness to Jesus is so connected to the unlikely other, to the unwelcomed other. Our faith and the contours of our spiritual health is seen through the way that we treat the children around us, the students around us, the outsiders. Jesus says, do not hinder them. And in fact, he says, actually, be like them. And Pastor Jeff asked us, in what ways do we hinder kids and people living at the margins from coming to Jesus? Jeff invited us to get closer to the vulnerable in our world, whether that's a student or a teenager or someone who is vulnerable living on the outskirts of society. So our question for this week, Pastor Jeff said that God is calling us to give ourselves away, especially to the unlikely, the unwelcomed, the unseen outsiders in our world. What are some ways that we can love and value children this week? I want you to get really practical, really tangible. How can you love and value children? Second, what are some ways that we can love and value those living at the margins this week? Now, the answers to these questions could be becoming a Sunday school teacher for some second graders, or mentoring some high school students, or participating in Angel Tree, serving the families of those who've been incarcerated. What is God calling you to do with your beautiful life? This week I want to close with a line from the Jesus Storybook Bible, which is the Bible that we often read to our kids here in the Neufeld home. And whenever it talks about God's love, this is what it says: that God's love is never stopping, never giving up, unbreaking, always and forever love. So this week, church family, I pray that you would have the faith of children, that you would receive the kingdom of God like a child does, and that you would be swept up in God's never stopping, never giving up, unbreaking, always and forever love. Go in peace.